Sometimes we start to think that we've got it all figured out. There's a great illustration of this if you remember the company Webvan. You ever remember that? They came and went in a big, huge ball of thunder and fire. They raised $250 million to take groceries to the doorstep. And at a certain part when they just got going, their factory had just been built. And one of the guys was in a press conference and they said, why do you think you'll succeed? And he said, I got to be honest, we're just very, very smart. And in about 18 months, they were out of money and the whole thing was done and over with. There was a little bit of pride there. They weren't humble and probably weren't willing to say, are we doing this the right way, guys? Are we going to trudge ahead? Are we holding it too tight? Because I've got to think with $250 million that everybody buys groceries and there's a lot of people who want them brought to their house. I know we used it for a little while. It could have worked, should have worked, but it didn't. So constantly trying to learn and improve is a key instinct. The youthful genius instinct is something that I think is really important. This is about doing what you love. Oftentimes we trudge through things and we just kind of, maybe for periods of time, we hate what we're doing. You've got to find something that you love to do. And I have found that people that I've talked to, and even in my own life, it was when we were young that we really dreamed some of these big dreams. We wanted to be a fireman, or a doctor, or a rock star, or whatever it was, and we got excited about that. But there's something to that also. Because oftentimes we can go back and there's certain things that we might have been good at as a young person or that we had an initial interest in. I have found a lot of people who, if they stay connected to that in some way, you actually do a little bit better job of it. You're able to stay in line with something you kind of had in your heart for a long time. I know that's the case with me. I started making surfboards when I was 14 years old and selling them out of my garage until my mom kicked me out because the resin ruined the whole garage and our whole house smelled like fiberglass and resin. So I was shut down, but it was in me early on. But our youth shows us, I think, glimmers of what we had hoped to be. Thick-skinned, it has to do with the fact that this stuff just ain't easy. It's tough, and a lot of people say no. So how resilient are you? How optimistic are you? Are you willing to keep going? I have found that really, it's true that almost any goal is attainable. There's one big variable that makes the biggest difference. Will you keep at it? Will you keep doing it? Will you never give up? And that's that thick-skinned part, man, because there's a point where sometimes you just feel like, I'm just done. Didn't work. It didn't work 10 times, so I'm going to move on. I'm going to go back to the boring thing that I was doing. And that's where, a lot of people who would have been fail to be, because they just stopped a little too early. Again, this applies in anything that you're doing. I also think that as you take this approach, it can invigorate you in any job that you're doing, in any company that you're a part of. There's nothing that will help you move forward faster in a company, even if you work for somebody. I'm not a believer that working for somebody is a bad thing, that you've got to be out on your own. You can make it great, and these are some of the principles that will help you do that. The human instinct is something that great entrepreneurs and successful people, they just possess it. And because we're all human beings, I think it's within everybody. The jerk that we've all run into from time to time doesn't have to be a jerk. In fact, somewhere underneath that core, there's a great guy or a great gal. And so all of us have the ability to focus on people, and to learn how to attract great people to our cause, whatever that is. And then to be able to effectively lead them and teach them and bring them along in your process. I really, really, in my heart of hearts, I believe in it. I believe that those are the types of principles that we should be trying to develop, that we should be trying to bring out, and to look at how we can apply to whatever it is we're doing professionally. And this is a business networking seminar, and so I'm focusing on business, but business and life, they're not, they're one and the same. These things I think we go to work and we do these things that we do because we need to put, food on the plate, on the table, but perhaps if we didn't have to, we'd be focusing more on other things in life. So in as much as we can apply these principles to all that we do, I think we excel.